Right. Hey everybody. Guys, I'm using my webcam, and I know that the lighting is not so great when I use my webcam, but that it's just what it is. Okay, I'm not using the DSLR this morning, and what I need for you guys to tell me, and if you could tell me quite quickly and rapidly, is if you can hear me so that we can get this show on the road. For goodness sake. Right. Um, Hope you guys are well. This morning, first of all, before I even say that, before we get to that, could we talk about the tie? Guys, first of all, could we agree that I need a new wardrobe? Okay, because I keep having to wear different colored ties with this shirt. And I must be honest with you, not every tie goes with this shirt. I mean, it's a headache. You see, this is the reason people like Mark Zuckerberg and people like uh, you know, the late Steve Jobs, they used to show up for work wearing the same thing every single day. I mean, not the same item of clothing, but the same type of clothing because it just cuts out the headache of having to stand there in front of your wardrobe trying to figure out if your tie matches your shirt and if your shirt matches your belt, if your belt matches your shoes. It's a headache. Honestly, really, it is one gigantic quintessential headache having to figure out what you have to wear in the morning. So here it is. I'm stuck with this shirt and this green tie. One of you is going to crop up on here and say, well, that green don't go with that shirt. Huh? Who's your stylist? Well, first of all, I don't have a stylist. My wife constantly tells me, she says, are you going to walk out of the house wearing that? So the truth is, I am. I'm on my. I know I've said this before. I have. I've said this before. I'm on my way to recovery. What it is very soon you're going to see a different SML. The SML you're going to see is someone that's going to be wearing the same thing every single day, so that I don't have to fret. You know the word fret? Fret. F-R-E-T. Look it up. How are you guys? Just a few shout outs before we begin. Thank you so much for taking the time wherever you are, whether you're in Australia, Melbourne, Newport. Is there a place called Newport, Australia? The islands of the sea, the Seychelles, Greece, Cyprus, Ghana, Accra, Mogadishu, Ethiopia, Addis Ababa, Johannesburg, South Africa, Cape Town, wherever you're watching me from, welcome to SML TV. Thank you so much. Now, somebody says, who's that? Chilanga says, are you going to remove it? Do you want me to remove the guys, be honest with me. You don't think that the tie goes with the shirt? Honestly, you don't? Listen, if you think the shirt doesn't go with the tie, I'm telling you what, I'm removing this tie immediately. We don't want you to be distracted. Okay, let's just be clear about that. All right, real quick. Incidentally, as I was riding over here, I was using a Yango this morning because I don't have a car right now. So I use this service called Yango, and they're not paying me, okay? Just so that you know, because I know some of you right now you're going to start saying, "Oh, Simon, you're such a shameless plugger. Boy, you're one of these shameless pluggers, aren't you?" Listen, I'm not plugging anything. I'm just sharing my experience with you. Anyway, on my way to work this morning, I'm going through the wormhole, and I come across this article, and it's talking about the Minister of Transportation, Mr. Frank Tayali. And Frank, whom he's someone I know, and I love him. I get along with him. He's a good guy. Well, he's on this new quest that wants to see himself lose a certain amount of kgs. He's on a quest to recover his body physically. He wants to lose weight. He wants a six pack. But what I found interesting was when he said, I've cut out Nshima until January. Basically, he's talking about cutting out starch or carbohydrates, whatever the heck they call it. I'm not a nutritionist. Come on, give me a break. So anyway, he says, I'm going to cut out Nshima until January 2023. Well, here's the problem with that, my Frank. The moment you go back to eating Nshima in January, guess what's going to happen? All that weight you lost is going to come running back. So the key is not to go on a diet. The key is to go on a lifestyle change. Change your lifestyle and change it permanently. And I know there's some of you looking at me saying, change it permanently. Have you seen yourself? Have you looked at yourself in the mirror before you judge? Yeah? Pull out that log in your eye before you start examining specks of dust in other people's eyes. I'm just making a point. It's true. It's true. Listen, I'm 53 years old. I've lived life pretty much. I mean, I'm a little over half a century. So, this is my first rodeo. Okay. I've been on diets before. I've tried, when I was younger, believe it or not, and I don't mean to digress here, but I have to share this experience. When I was younger, all the way from my late teens up until about 35, I was a gym buff. Honey, I used to jog, go to the gym. I watched my weight. I was inspired as a kid. I was inspired by the film Rocky Balboa. You remember that. So I used to go running but my point is, what I learned is diets don't work. They don't. Well, they do for a season, for a little bit. They do for a time. But then if you go back to eating, like Frank Tayali has said, Frank Tayali, Minister of Transport, says, no, in January, I'm going to go back. I won't eat any Nshima until January. Well, guess what's going to happen when you get to January and you start eating Nshima? All that weight you lost is going to get back. Okay, let's get to the topic here. Here's the thing. Here's the deal. Here's the question. Is it appropriate for a female Zambian MP to wear a bareback dress in Parliament? That is the question. Okay? That's the question, y'all. And here's the thing. And let me bring you up to speed. For those of you that do not know what I'm talking about, I just saw a video clip in Parliament. The member of Parliament for Chilubi raised a point of order, and he said, is the Minister of Health in order to come in this house with a bareback? Now, his reference to bareback is he was talking about a dress that bears your back or that shows your back. Okay, and he equated that statement to the Minister of Health, Honorable Sylvia Masebo. And we all know Sylvia Masebo. I mean, Honorable Masebo is sort of known for always wearing these beautiful dresses. She's a very, sort of, what's the word I'm looking for? She's an immaculate dresser. There you go. That's the word I was looking for. She's an immaculate dresser. But for some reason, for some strange, odd reason, the member of Parliament for Chilubi raised the point of order, and he said, is it in order for the minister? Is the Minister of Health in order to come in this house with the bareback? And did you see Sylvia Masebo? Did you see her reaction? Did you see that? Me? Negro, what are you talking about? I'm not inappropriately dressed. I don't have a bare back the way you're describing it. Now, if you didn't see the actual bareback that the minister, the member of Parliament for Chilubi was referring to, if you didn't see it, you would think that Honorable Masebo was on a beach somewhere. But once you see the dress, you realize that he sort of made a big deal out of nothing. He did. But the one thing he has done is that he has raised the conversation about being appropriately dressed. And the word he used, the phrase he used, he said, no, Mr. Speaker, the way Honorable Mase was dressed, it is causing psychological noise in this august house. You're in trouble when a member of parliament says psychological noise. Now, somebody please define for me just what in the HE double hockey sticks is psychological noise. I would like to know. Lord have mercy. Boy, I tell you what, if it's not one thing, it's a complete other. With our Facebook, could you please define for me what psychological noise is? Tell me in the comments. I'll highlight your comment. Okay. Prophet says, and she is beautiful too. Yes, Honorable Masebo is a very pretty lady. Okay, so tell me, what does it mean when the minister of Chilubi, the MP, the member of parliament for Chilubi, when he says, no, the way Honorable Masebo is dressed, it is causing psychological noise. Define for me what psychological noise is. What does that mean? Well, let me tell you what he means. This is what he means. He meant to say it is a distraction. That's what he meant. Now, this word distraction should not be confused with, here it is. I'm going to throw it up here now. It should not be confused with destruction. Let's go back to distraction. Distraction is something that causes you to lose focus. Instead of paying attention to this, you start paying attention to that. That's called a distraction. This word here it is. I'm going to throw it up here in a second now. Destruction means destroying something. For example, you can say the destruction of that building, the tearing down of that building. So what the member of parliament for Chilubi, what he meant to say, instead of using the term psychological noise, which that, I don't even know what the hell that is, okay? Psychological. You, Honorable Masebo, you are causing psychological noise. And I loved Honorable Masebo's response. I know I've said it, but I have to repeat it because it was beautiful. She was caught completely unaware. She had no idea that she was going to be highlighted and cited. And there she was. Her response was so golden. She was like, me? Negro, who are you talking about? Do you know who I have on? This, honey, is chiffon. Ain't no bareback here. You're talking about me? Negro, how dare you? Honestly, that was the look on her face. You know, did you see that? You should see that. You should go to Mwebantu Facebook page. You should see that. It is hilarious, hilarious stuff. Anyway, so basically, it brings up the topic and it makes us have a conversation about appropriate dressing. That's what this issue is. And I think that the answer is, it is inappropriate for a member of parliament to go dressed in a bareback dress. However, let me point out the outfit that Honorable Masebo wore hardly qualifies as a bareback dress. I mean, goodness gracious alive. I mean, I've heard of conservatism, but that's ridiculous. Okay. I mean, I've heard of the holiness Pentecostal movement, but goodness, that's on a different level. That dress was fine. There was nothing inappropriate about it. I mean, it wasn't like she was walking around looking like an extra on the television show Baywatch. It wasn't like that at all. And I think that but what I appreciate the member of parliament for Chilubi doing is I appreciate him bringing up the issue of appropriate dressing. it is important to dress appropriately. When you go to a nightclub, for those mwebaya out. That's that Ben Lombe thing. I think that Ben has sort of worked his way into the psyche of the Zambian public. Have you noticed that? Have you? Did you? Does that resonate with you? Because I think he has. I mean, every time I go into the Bemba thing, I do the thing like Ben. For goodness sake. Anyway, my point is this. What was I saying? See, Nalaba. When you get to my age, you just forget stuff. Anyway, it's important to dress appropriately. When you go to whereby out, there you go. That's what I was saying. Whereby out, you dress a certain way when you go out. When you go to court, I'll never forget. This one time I went to court, and I went there with my little reflector thing, because my lawyer calls me up and says, "Hey, Mwewa, you need to be in court right now." So I leave from here, and I didn't pay any attention to how I was dressed. I was just, I had my little reflector thing, the vest, the little vest that I wear. I walk into court. The first thing the judge says to me, she says, "Mr. Mwewa, where do you think you are?" I said, "Excuse me?" She says, "You can't come in my courtroom dressed like that." I said, "What do you mean?" She says, "This is a courtroom. This ain't no traffic stop." Well, she didn't say ain't, but you get my point. Her point was, you have to, when you come to court, you dress appropriately. Last point. And I've got to mention this. This is something I talk about all the time. And I know I'm going to get judged, and some of you are just going to completely go off the rails about this. When you hire maids, I'm a maid. Don't allow your maid to walk around the house inappropriately dressed. She can't walk around with a mini. She can't walk around with a shirt with no bra. She can't do any of that. You know why? Because it is inappropriate. Dress appropriately. Boom. All right. That's what I wanted to share with you. Yep. Thanks for watching. God bless. Bye.